So the guided weekly journeys go into and up to beyond the book. They start on Earth with the book, and then they go to the void, Satnam's realm, and then the Hue Expansionary Academy. That's so that you get, it's like diving into a pool with your body, and you absorb more of the pure energy of the Hue that has no positive and negative nature, no opposites, and you bring that back with you to Earth. It rubs off on you. It begins to awaken things and makes you smarter. It's the way it works. So this omnipresent first sound behind creation, this Hue, has new qualities, new characteristics moving through the one power that's out in space. That black area that's golden white light that we see, it's not black at all. It has a new element moving through it. It's still supporting all creation in the multidimensional universe, all the levels. The silent mentors still are the custodians and general mechanics of creation, holding it all together like they've always done. But there's an energy moving through this one power now that has not been there before. It began 9 years ago, Earth time, 10 years ago at the most, started then, with the construction of the Hue Expansionary Academy, which was manifested by beings. It's not built with a hammer and a nail like it is down here. And then many master teachers from all over creation can go there and kind of mix it up with students or fellow Atmas and silent mentors. It's the one place where we can rub shoulders with such advanced beings. And we bring a little bit of their influence back with us as well. It's important to know this consciously, because otherwise you won't be conscious of its influence in being beneficial to you when you return to Earth. It's direct awakening conscious experience that makes change in people, not belief or faith. That does not change people. It never has. It never will. That's why Earth is in the condition it's in. That's a cop-out, really. Faith and belief need to go into direct experience. It should lead to the wisdom of direct experience. Not only of who we are as a being, as people on Earth call it soul, but they haven't got a clue what that is, where it is, where it's located, what it looks like. And they're all mixed up about whether they're a body or this thing called soul, and they don't know which one begins and the other ends. It's done deliberately, and was done deliberately to confuse people. Generally, it was done by tyrant kings on Earth. But it was also done out in space by tyrant races for a time. Back in Behind All Things, we ask ourselves a responsible question when we're awake enough. We start asking the right questions of the omnipresent Hue, the first sound behind creation. It supports everything and anything, good, bad, evil, indifferent. But it starts to work with us differently when we start to show it we're awake and we want to return home to fulfill our reason for existing. That's simple. People on Earth don't know that at all. Yet. Well, most people. But it really is to become a conscious, trustworthy co-creator with the source behind all life. That's true disclosure. It's way beyond just knowing about extraterrestrials. Heck, every one of you knew very well about millions of races out there long ago before you found yourself born on Earth with no memory. So this is not new to you, except that it's like new to people that are first exposed to an Earth that didn't grow up learning any of it at all. None of it. Zip, zero, nothing, nada. And you have to get reconditioned to being able to move higher energy through your being, through your body, your consciousness on Earth. This takes a little change in things. So part of what we're doing on these journeys, this one is no exception, is we're moving through, upward and downward, through the astral, causal, mental, and etheric planes where you have a body you're running. And people on Earth haven't got a clue. People hear about their astral body and astral travel and blah, but they don't really know what it is, or if it's them, or if it's a dream. They have no real solid, concrete, awakening, enlightening experience about it, which they need to recover who they are. So we will go up through those And we'll come back through those, whether we speak about them or not. Each and every time we go on these journeys, we are passing through those forms. Satnam and Torelli and other beings surround them in a nice way and kind of kick their ass to get your higher selves aware of each other and you down here. Because believe me when I say to you, for the most part, for most people on earth, those higher selves don't give a hoot about you and aren't aware of you down here. Thus the condition of earth. Because if they were, earth wouldn't be like it is now, would it? Common sense. This is just common sense. People don't have common sense on earth for the most part because they don't know what they need to have common sense. And fear misdirects them. Subconscious influences, emotions that drive people throughout their lives. This is the thing that is put aside when we would start these journeys. Not by me. By beings who have not been born on earth, master teachers, who do not have subconscious minds, never grow up on a planet like Earth. They are not misdirected from subconscious fear at all. These are fellow beings. It's important that they help us because without them, you haven't got a chance of waking up here. It has to come from the greater God, shall we say, from outside of Earth, in the greater heaven, the greater space, the greater universe, multidimensional nature as it is. Freeing up the people on this earth because of what was done to them is going to require vast numbers of their assistance. This is part of real disclosure, and that has begun in the United States. We'll see more of that ramp up. How and when, I wouldn't predict even if I knew it. I'd rather have people go through their own experience than try to spoon feed them stuff they'll lock onto and then they won't do any work to have the experience themselves. That's where faith and belief fails people, because it doesn't generally provide them with direct experience of knowing. It's just belief. And that's good. I'm not putting it down. But it doesn't take people into knowing. Direct experience awakened in a person is what we refer to as enlightenment. Without it, you're not. Doesn't matter what you believe. It won't change. There are people on earth, because of how they've been negatively influenced, who believe they'll find all the answers when they die and go to some heaven. This is not true at all. They go where their consciousness is aware to take them. The omnipresent spirit they pray to can only take them where they're aware of going and no further. It's one of its own primary laws. This is where free will comes into it. Unfortunately, most people on earth don't have free will because they're not awake enough in many of the higher faculties they normally would be to choose properly without fear influencing those choices. So whenever we make a decision based on fear, and I know this from much of my own experience, it's always a wrong decision. And this hue will teach you hard lessons because it kind of slaps us around to get us awake, that we can't just make decisions based on fear and expect divine outcomes from it. It doesn't work like that. Never did. So what people have grown up with on Earth is not normal or even characteristic of most worlds out in our own galaxy and how people live. It is an enigma. Earth is a planet very backward. It's been imposed upon over hundreds of thousands of years in ways you don't even know. Obvious influences from outside that were negative. Those influences that were few in number that actually snuck into this planet have been removed from this solar system. They will not return. Little grays abducting people, over. Little reptilians, a few, in bases underground, gone. This is not known in the UFO and extraterrestrial communities yet, but it will be in disclosure. They're not here. The negative effects of what they've done over a long period of time and how people ended up here, that remains on Earth until it's corrected. This is all below the level of conscious awareness for people on Earth. It's subconscious. This is where implants come from. Negative programs to keep you from knowing who you are. Not just those, but beyond that. A gradual diminishing of higher faculties over billions of years, playing in the lower worlds with bodies until you don't remember that there is a home above the void, much less a void. There is an area, a huge area, made of the pure hue that separates the upper realities from the lower worlds of time and space. This is a fact. I'm not making this up. Just you don't remember it, you're going to have to do something about that. That's what these journeys are about. That void has no negative nature. So any of the body consciousness you have, the one on Earth, your astral, where all emotion comes from, and you get that from that brilliance of that life you're living there, and higher molecular time rate. Higher molecular time rate in the causal, cause and effect, mental, thought, etheric, more of a link between the lower worlds and above the void. The real heavens are not in the lower worlds of time and space. It's not in the worlds where archangels and angels and all that stuff is. They operate only in the etheric down to the physical. This is something people don't understand. Our purpose is to go beyond all of those planes at some point in our career as beings and journey back home. Because down at the core of our being, when fear is dropped like a lead brick and set aside, then we all know how to circumnavigate the grand multidimensional creation. It's built in to that. In every teardrop is a higher faculty, a God power, a co-creative ability, just like the source itself has. In many people on Earth, most people, probably every one of them, with a few exceptions, many of those in each layer are not on. They're simply dormant, forgotten long ago. Which, of course, as more of them turn off, we're more vulnerable to make mistakes. And then you end up, after a long time, finding yourself on Earth, struggling to remember who we are. Not remembering, say, how come I don't remember? And then over time, people just condition themselves to think that's normal, God's will. It's not. We are responsible Atmas. We were at the beginning as that before we ever played with bodies in the lower worlds, before they were even constructed. And we all had a hand in constructing them. So if you bitch about evil and you wonder who's the cause, don't blame the devil. Look in a mirror, because we're all responsible. The point of going home and becoming a co-creator with Source is so that we can deliver our experience to that Source and help it make change in itself throughout the multidimensional creation. Because otherwise the lower worlds of time and space cannot evolve, cannot change. We collectively make up a big chunk of what we call Source or Prime Creator. And it's supposed to be going back and forth with freedom and never suffering from the illusion that we're some kind of physical body. You know, we've never been a physical body. None of you have ever been a physical body. You've run billions, but you've never been one. It's important to know this. This one single distinction brings about a great deal of awakening and enlightenment for a person on Earth, and a much higher IQ, a much higher intelligence. So I serve as an example to others about what their potential is. Others serve as an example to me and to you for what our potential is, like Terrellian, or Opelum, or Ramu, or Lightsea, and a million other master teachers, many of whom in the Galactic Alliance are going with us to the Source itself and returning. They don't have a subconscious mind problem, so they deliver that experience telepathically directly to 450 million spacefaring planets of people. They advance very quickly beyond us. They don't have the negative things we have to work through. But it's good, because then they can help us even better. They're motivated. They know how to correct things. Bad atmosphere, bad food, bad attitudes, bad everything. Emotional negative natures, misuse of the imagination, implants, secondary, primary, and stuff dealing with fear of using the higher faculties and going back home to simply respect and experience the Source, not worship it. As long as people are worshiping that source, they're like a supreme being. It's like a king, a tyrant, absolute control over everybody. And they always put it on a pedestal, worshiping it, so it always is receding away from them. They can't get there. They'll never get there that way. We were never meant to worship the source behind all life because we come from that source. It's the height of vanity. We're not supposed to worship it. We're supposed to know it and respect it. And all life in the grand multidimensional creation. It's the way things work, really. People on Earth have a lot of catching up to do. So, on our journeys, every one of us, when we come back here, becomes a vehicle for the hue expansion ray, this new quality within the hue that's moving through creation for the first time. It's passing through our solar system. It's moving into Earth's atmosphere. It's being transmitted from 3 pyramids that are made of non-physical energy that are on Earth now. That's part of disclosure. Galactic Alliance personnel that I bring to your attention on these journeys are very real beings, but they're not, how do I put it? They don't live like people on Earth. They don't live short lives. They don't have disease. They don't use money. They don't do any of the things we do on Earth. They're so different, and yet they're just normal people to them. If one of them or a couple got out of a spaceship and landed in your backyard and walked up to you, you'd be like not able to handle it. Their energy is so much higher. You just think of them as angels, elves, whatever. You just put them on a pedestal almost immediately. And they can't work with us like that. So they don't land and pick people up the way they are. The only ones I know of that picked people up, with few exceptions, were tyrants, little grays abducting people, or some other nonsense. All of that was stopped more than 25 years ago on this planet. Polar shifts have been stopped permanently on this planet by silent mentors, or we'd all be dead now, every one of us. It's huge. It's just so different from what people think it is. You look out in space and you see all these beautiful galaxies floating in this black void or dark blue, whatever you want to interpret it as. And everything's just perfectly balanced. There are beings who maintain that, actual beings like us. It couldn't be done any other way. Those are objects we are not. Silent mentors are like big Atmas. They know what they're doing. They manage the creation, all the levels, keep it all together, manage the portals between them, the vortexes, the concentric generators that allow a higher hue to generate down to support these different levels. There are different levels, so we have greater experience on more levels. We're supposed to learn how to master physical matter, emotional energy in the astral realms, causal and causation energy in the causal, mental, all thought processes in the mental, and etheric, the most close type of form of body you'll have. It's transparent, almost perfect, a little bit of negativity moving through it. And the purpose of that is to give people a bridge so they can leap across the void and go back home, and they haven't been doing it. Not even there. This changes. So this is why we go on these journeys above the void. Because we're now moving into pure positive energy. It has no negative nature. It just moves through us freely. We have no resistance to it because we don't bring any negative nature with us. It's impossible. This couple, like Shantiel and Tonaltiel and Dantiam and Lamtiam, are around each one of you. They hover near the ceiling. They are Atmas just like you. Brighter, I might say. But they didn't get born on Earth. Their purpose in doing this is to turn off or keep off all negative nature, fear, subconscious drives. For billions of years, anything of a negative nature, they just shut it down. So you can present to them the way they present to you. When that's done, you can see yourself hovering near the ceiling. You're a spherical Atma. There's one on each side of you. Looks just like you. And then you project a form that looks human. Like Marcia would be a male, I would be a male, about 36, perfectly handsome, flawless, beautifully dressed. They're in a monk's robe or like a Galactic Alliance uniform or a nice dress. Women are about the same, perfectly beautiful, flawless. This is something we knew how to do with each other above the void long ago, which is where the human prototypes come from, particularly from Satnam. But don't think that you weren't involved in creating human, humanoid, and other forms to play with. The Say-Rays were the most advanced creators of such forms. They stopped having physical bodies over 1 billion years ago. But before that happened, they seeded human, humanoid, reptilian, gray, tall, white, Pashat, lion-like people, all kinds of races, many types of humans, elven-like people. They did all this and brought them up to spacefaring capability in 144 parallel dimensions of the physical universe and 144 parallel dimensions of the astral universe. They were the one race that could traverse in ships between the two. I suspect the Oceanians can, but I've seen no evidence of it, that they care to. Because they're so advanced, like Masterful, they just go to the other planes. They don't need ships. The ships they travel in are more for our benefit, who have to go a slower route until we're ready. So they're practical vehicles in different dimensions. I would have you all send out the hue with me 5 times. Right from where you're on Earth, hovering near the ceiling, you just use your imagination. This is not making things up in your brain. Your brain doesn't imagine anything. That's not its purpose. When you imagine going to work or to the store, you see this from the Atma, which is separate from the body. And it's the one that sees going to the store, and your body follows where it directs it. This is how it really works. When we imagine being up in space outside of Earth's atmosphere, we're simply being there as the Atma, because the energy that comprises us, which is non-nuclear and non-physical, is connected to and one with and the same as the omnipresent hue that is space. To us, it appears as a white golden light. It radiates a sound frequency, an omnipresent sound representing the entire physical creation. We tune in with that. We connect with that through the pineal gland. So when we do the hues, this is just to get us tuned into the omnipresent hue that's coming to us all the way from Source itself, through beings who know how to go there, who come back here and help guide us on these journeys. Pretty straightforward. Things are speeding up. The journeys are deepening. I'll begin these tones now. You can do it with me silently in the sanctuary of your own being, or out loud. It's up to you, it doesn't matter. But I'll begin 5, and then we'll go from there. The hues become more refined. That one connected to the Atma plane, where Satnam dwells, above the void. Just to make a connection. The beings that are hovering beside you from the Galactic Alliance are actually personnel. In this case, these are particularly well-trained beings who handle things like secondary and primary implants and removals and dealing with subconscious fears people have because they don't react to them. Nothing we do could make them react in a negative way because they have no subconscious negative stuff to react from. So it makes them perfect to simply turn off some part of your consciousness that deals with any negative fear, and it's subconscious. So when you're hovering up by the ceiling showing them your 36-year-old form, and you're really the Atma hovering above this form, which is not made of DNA or physical matter, they're doing the same thing. When fear is shut down, you can see yourself this way and see them. This returns this higher faculty. It's telepathic. There is a difference between psychic communication and telepathy. Telepathy is not the same as any psychic form of communication because the psychic communications work through twin currents that should be in harmony but are most often opposed to each other in the consciousness. And it's unreliable. It's energy that can flip one moment and be positive, 1 minute and be negative. It's unreliable. Pure telepathy does not work with any negative nature. It does not work with psychic forces. It is the energy supporting such things that people manifest in the lower worlds of time and space. But it does not work with it. We start to work in the hue as we're doing. We're in a pure telepathic communication with each other and with Source itself. We connect to Source energy coming to us. Call it grace, call it whatever you want. But it comes into us, and then we go and join it. It becomes a master single living power that takes us up through the vortex. These beings are keeping your negative stuff you work on and master yourself turned off for this journey. This is a great advantage because it allows you to bring back pure positive energy from Source that has no negative nature and bring it back to your lifetime on Earth where it changes things and prepares you. And it only works one way now, not two. It moves downward through the worlds, through the systems, goes back up the galactic core of every galaxy and returns to Source, always moving in one direction, like the sign of infinity, always moving one direction. We are Source energy, individualized. So we are individuals. The Source itself is not an individual. It's not a guy or a girl or some king on a throne with a big staff and a big beard. No. Such beings exist like that in the lower worlds, the four planes, the etheric, mental, causal, astral, down into the physical. They do not exist above the void. There's no kings there. Source or Prime Creator is the Source. We originate from that Source. There's no getting around this. There's no denying it. At some point you just know. You begin to remember all of it. There are people on Earth that guide people into past lives through a type of reverse hypnosis and regression therapy, which could take about 1 billion years to explore enough to understand a greater picture of what those lives mean, because you've had billions of them. What's more important is that you go back home while you're having a body running around on Earth and meet with the Source itself. Have the experience you're meant to have and should have done 1 billion years ago. Doesn't matter if it's now and it took 1 billion years longer than we thought. Whatever form on Earth that you have that ran across the hue, you're very fortunate, because once we go on these journeys, it works with us in a different way. It begins to be a master teacher for us to return to being trustworthy co-creators with it. What I'm trying to get across to all of you is that you bring in a unique individuality, all the lives you've ever lived in, all the planes, and you download it into the Source, and we merge inside the white core of that center. And it adds a unique perspective of wisdom into it so that it can take all of that and then emanate an energy that goes down through Agam Purusha, goes down through the Tree of Life, goes down into the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, goes down into Satnam's realm. Satnam tests it, and when it comes back true, necessary, and kind, it gets implemented for the first time in the lower worlds of time and space. And what is being implemented now has never occurred before in the history of creation. Unexpected, new, liberating, completely different, because some of us have gone back to source and helped create with others this new change, which is required of us. We are required not to worship the source. We're required to go to it and experience it directly and respect it, each other, and know and understand all the life in the grand multidimensional creation in all the planes and all the planets. Because an Atma, which you are, is capable of this. The brain and body and personality of one time is not. So there's a difference. What we're doing is bringing an enlightenment to your earth body consciousness that you could not and did not and would not find available on earth yet. You're bringing this back, and it moves through you for your benefit and on its way for the benefit of others. It's natural and normal. So we become boots on the ground. We start to contribute to the solution instead of continuing to support the negative cause that's out there. Things change for us. You're going to see a flash of light, a golden white light. It's coming down through your ceiling. It's coming through the couple that's kind of custodians and caretakers of you, through your body, and then we find ourselves in space. This is direct projection. We are in space in a circle of beings in the golden white, luminous, omnipresent hue that is space. It's divine spirit. People pray to it. They don't even know what they're doing. That is divine spirit, that space, that so-called black area. It's so vast, and little teeny galaxies float in it, and little electromagnetic fields so they can hover and balance with each other, like Earth goes around the sun. All of these objects in space, with rare exceptions, are spherical, just like us. We are round. Soul is spherical. Doesn't have 2 arms and 2 legs. That's projection we do to show each other's unique character. Of course, it's flawless. The Atma has no negative nature in it. None of you have ever had any negative nature in your being. There's nothing to pay for. The only thing that needs to happen is to get rid of all that stuff and baggage we've collected in all of the electromagnetic field layers that surround the Atma. All of that stuff that people have done on Earth is still recorded in the atmosphere, in the water vapor, and in the oceans. H2O is 2 gases. First elements. You put them together, they create water. What a phenomena. Take them apart, they're 2 gases again. One burns hydrogen. It's a fuel, it's a power source. Water is actually the greatest power source. It's surprise, surprise, surprise. There's a lot to discover on Earth in the fact that the water on Earth is not very well charged at all. It should be, but it isn't. And the reason for this is simple. People on Earth are not doing their job to allow the energy to come through to charge their energy, or they'd be walking around in water growing up here and there would be any problems on this planet. Because that water is the hue charging the glows. So out here in space you see Ambassador Trellian, 18 feet tall. He's simply showing you the form he once had, that all the Say-Rays had 1 billion years ago. They evolved to the point where they just deconstructed the DNA, 12-stranded, of their human body, and stored it in one of the teardrops of the Atma. So whenever they want to use one or manifest it, they just draw from the omnipresent power that surrounds them, pull it out of that stored teardrop, manifest the body, carry out a mission, talk to you, and then they put it away. They don't have the drudgery of pushing around a physical body and going to the bathroom and eating food and all that stuff. More advanced human forms, even in our own galaxy, do not have to eat food. And that's just normal in the physical universe on some worlds. So think about this a moment. In space, we see the planet Earth with its polar ice caps. Everybody knows what that looks like. You can see the barren moon, pockmarked with meteor craters, orbiting the Earth. It does not turn on its axis yet. You see the sun in the distance, we call Sol. You see the white golden light all around us. It's like background energy. And then you see all these galaxies and billions of stars in our galaxy. Big, young, hot, white, blue giant stars. Big suns, 1,000,000 times bigger than our sun. Smaller than blue giants. Suns smaller like our sun. Red dwarfs, giant red suns, which are at the end of their life, they expand before they go supernova to create new stars. Those things out there that we see in space are floating in another ether that is not molecular. It is not nuclear. There are no atoms in it. It is not positive and negative. The space between things that float in it is the hue itself. Divine Spirit, whatever you want to call it. It's right there. And it's inside Earth's atmosphere to a limited degree. It should be more prevalent here in this atmosphere. It would not tolerate negative things being stored in the molecules of water that people on Earth maintain here. It would neutralize them all. If we had our oceans and water systems charged on Earth, which Galactic Alliance people know how to do, it's a piece of cake for them, not a big deal. They know how to remove pollutants. They know how to help people change consciousness, eating habits, everything. People on Earth need to recover who and what they once were long ago and then take it further. So these beings serve as examples of our potential. They are living it. We're out in the hue. If you look above Terrellian, you're going to see Eta and Din hovering there with their tails glowing. They're Drens, they're silica-based. Atma's hovering above them. Above them, Light C, the Chinese guy with big Atma above him. Satnam high above that. There's a vortex, hourglass shaped, turning clockwise, and it's just dimly lit. And to each side of Satnam are two couples of silent mentors, standing just to each side of them. They have different colored hair, long to their shoulders, single pastel gown on, all different colors like blue, green, red, yellow, alternating male and female, and a huge Atma 4 times bigger than us, hovering above them. Twice as many teardrop-shaped faculties. And then you see this Atma above Satnam, and it's bigger, and it's more involved. There's more luminosity to it. And you see these silent mentors, and they're just brilliant. The golden light around the outside circumference of the sphere they are is brighter than us. But they are an Atma. That they've decided to even go on these journeys and appear high in space in the physical universe to anyone is rarer than the finest treasure. Something's changing. Ambassador Terrellian's 18-foot tall body, he was one of the smaller ones. They were 18 to 25 feet tall. He immortalized his form, as did the Sayres, in a different way. Not by perfectly manipulating the genomes to never age. That's just a simple switch on one of the genomes. That science is well known among the Xentronamus race on the other side of the galaxy, amongst the Galactic Alliance. Oceanans are masters of it. The Interdimensional are masters of it. The Sayrays were their teachers. So if I bring this to your awareness, this becomes an awakening knowledge in you once had. There's an addition. The addition is the fact that these beings are operating in a new way, and we're capable of recovering who we are at last. Earth's future destiny to play among the stars, the people on it, will not be allowed to do that ever until the world is more transformed, until people are more responsible. They're supposed to be conscious custodians and caretakers of all life on Earth, and develop to be custodians and caretakers of life on other worlds, other systems, other planes, galaxies, everything. We have this potential. But we have to live it truly, honorably, respectfully. The man and woman who are hovering near your body, near the ceiling, above your body, are standing to each side of you, about 6 feet tall, some a little taller, maybe a little shorter. Galactic Alliance uniforms on. They're master teachers, friendly, kind, generous. This is fun for them. They enjoy helping people recover. It uplifts them. If you can uplift people like that, they're already pretty, I guess you could say, divine. I don't use the word divine because it sounds like an imperial lord somewhere. Divine versus those who are not. This is a trap for the Atma to think this way. We aren't meant to think this way in dual natures. Heaven, hell, good, bad, up, down. That's not the nature of our being. It's the nature of bodies thinking in bodies in space-time, sure. But we're supposed to be consciously running them. Now we're going to send out the hue in this circle of beings. Light C is up there below Satnam. A master teacher named Yantal, long blonde hair to his shoulders, about 7 feet tall, just above Light C, below Satnam. And there are over 100 master teachers present in a larger circle around all of us. They are from all over the Galactic Alliance, the Interdimensional race, from different dimensions, because it's like the law of economy. It's practical for us to go together above the void, because they're going to get much more than we are, more consciously, and they're going to bring that back. These are 100 beings, and you're going to see where, that you will meet one day, that work in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. They also have body forms they're running in the lower planes, but in their case, all of their higher selves are fully conscious, activated, and working with them down here. So that rubs off on us too. I am taking this time telepathically to help you see out in space. Why space? Because Earth's atmosphere is impacted with massive amounts of negative thoughts and deeds done to people, each other, and animals and plants over millions of years. It's contained within Earth's atmosphere. It is not allowed to go out in the pure hue that surrounds Earth. People do not understand this yet. That pure hue is the power source for intergalactic travel, anti-gravitic drive propulsion systems that don't work with radioactive nuclear energy. It's very simple. We either learn how to work with that omnipresent power that supports everything to get around far faster than the speed of light, or we don't get to do it. Period. Silent mentors balance things. They see to this. We have to play ball with these other races who can actually help heal and change this planet. If we don't, we're doomed. Our people on Earth are not anywhere near awake enough to save themselves from their own annihilation. If we were really alone, Galactic Alliance hadn't been hidden bases on this planet, at least I know going back to 1908, we wouldn't have survived this far. So we're not alone in the universe, never have been. There's a challenge to get one individual on Earth to let go of fear. It's a bad habit, deeply rooted. Out here, we have the hue flowing through us, unaffected by the negative stuff in Earth's atmosphere. We're in the pure hue out here. When you look up and see this hourglass vortex up above Satnam, we're going to send out the hue together, all of us. I'm going to do the tones through the higher tones, but understand that Pelham and Ramu, who are both here, and Light Z, and Etendin, and Satnam, Agam Purusha, who's literally the vibration of the hue, the power, the source itself, the Galactic Alliance personnel, the master teachers and silent mentors that work with a few of them. The teachers of the Say-Rays are the silent mentors. Think about it. They were able to operate independent of the gods, tyrants really, of the lower worlds of time and space. And they've been able to maintain that ever since the lower worlds were created. They cannot be controlled, they cannot be manipulated. For them to decide to take a hand, it was Terrellian that actually sponsored Opelum to begin to form officially from the Galactic Alliance to the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds, 500,000 years ago. That was done at the end of a Great War, after it came to an end. So these are the beings we work with. I'm going to send out these tones. Do it in your own way, in the sanctuary and sanctity of your own being. And go with me in the tones. Hear it in your own consciousness. And then watch that vortex. Each tone is going to light up an hourglass shape. It's going to keep lighting it up through the narrow section and all the way up until you can see the other side of this vortex, a brilliant, what I call pale blue luminosity, which is the void. Together with all these beings, we are exercising the higher faculties of the Atma to create this interdimensional doorway, bypassing the lower planes of time and space for this journey. It connects right to the void. It does not stop there. It continues upward from Satnam's realm up into the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. It continues above the Hue Expansion Ray Academy all the way to Agam Purusha's realm through a number of what we call Purushas or governors of these planes. And it goes into the heart of all that is, source or prime creator. It does not stop there. It goes into the realm of the silent mentors, and it goes up into the Hue Expansion Ray plane. The Atma we are is capable of comprehending this. This is important for you to understand. And your little brain is getting reconditioned and to accept, humbly, respectfully accept a higher intelligence running through it, a higher IQ. But that higher IQ and intelligence is not coming from your brain. That's not its purpose or function. Begin those tones with me now, and then watch that hourglass vortex light up because we're going through it. You. You. You can see the vortex is a bright, whirling, clockwise, golden white light. There's blue-green energy moving it around. It looks like a blend of blue and green water, but it's not H2O. There is a golden white light of a very fine gold nature coming down through this opening. You can see on the other end of it a pale blue luminous atmosphere. Space, that's the void. And it's passing down through Satnam, through the silent mentors. It's going down through Yontal and Light Sea. It's going down through Eta and Din. It's going down through Torellian. He's got his fist closed with 2 thumbs up. There's a brighter golden white light from that vortex around his fist. It's creating an oval, transparent field of energy around us, like the hull of a spaceship. Around all of us. There's us in a circle, the couple standing beside us, and 100 master teachers standing around us. There's a flash of light, whiter golden light from Torellian's fists. There's a big Atma hovering above him, don't forget that. When you look across this circle at each other, you see 2 things. A 36-year-old perfectly flawless human appearing body, well dressed. If you're a male, perfectly handsome. The couples beside you look just like we do. We look like them. They are out of their bodies. Their bodies are asleep in egg-shaped chairs back on the Emerald Star Cruiser stationed in the ice rings of Saturn in our solar system right now. So they leave their bodies, these master teachers, and go with us on this journey. When they come back, they report to the Galactic Alliance Council. They spread this out into 450 million spacefaring world systems, trillions of beings. Become aware. And we are co-creatively helping this happen. Make no mistake about that. With that flash of light, this whole oval sphere is shot upward into the bottom of the throat of that vortex. We stop up in the middle of it long enough to see that this whole group of us, surrounded by this oval transparent hull of hue, is like a penny to the size of a dinner plate. And we can see right through the transparent energy whirling around us. And it shows you level upon level upon level of galaxies, each level higher, brighter, bigger than the one below it. You can see your body form on the astral plane, somewhere on some island out of 80,000 of them, on a huge planet. And it is awake. And it looks perfect, about 36, but thousands of years old. And it's looking up, and it's looking down at you and your body on Earth. And it's looking back at you inside this vortex. And then we look up in the causal plane, and you're on another tropical paradises everywhere, and huge continental landmasses. And you're standing there in a flawless body, well dressed, in a causal form. And it's looking up and it's looking down and seeing your astral body, and it sees you down on earth. It's looking up to the mental plane. And then you see a more refined human-like form. Some of you may have the form of a Xeontornamus in the mental plane and be a scientist. Long silver-like hair, violet eyes, moonstone skin that glows like a moonstone gem. Longer necks, longer torsos, longer fingers, beautifully dressed. They move like swans. There's domes, pyramids in the background against beautiful snow-covered bluestone mountain ranges where we work. And you see the etheric form. You see 80,000 worlds spread out and massive continents on all of them. And you're standing on the steps of radiant golden steps leading up to palatial estates, and they're everywhere. Your body's transparent. You see the energy centers we see called chakras in this form. The Atma, you, is hovering above it. You're also inside this oval sphere that Terrellians projected for us. And you see it look up into the void for the first time with a desire to go there. This is the Atma that's desiring that. And you see it look down to the mental body, and it's aware of you on earth. These are your so-called higher selves. And when you look at each one quickly, astral, you'll see Terrellian and Satnam standing beside it, in no uncertain terms, encouraging them to get off their duff and start working properly and be aware of those above and those below. And you see them appear beside your causal body, your mental body, and your etheric body. And then they are where they are in this circle of beings up above us and in this vortex. And then this flash of light takes us all the way up into the void itself. And we look down and see that we're still hovering as a group around Terrellian by Earth. Polar ice caps, barren moon, it's all there. White golden light that is space. It's a much brighter white golden light where we are. It's behind the pale, luminous blue atmosphere of the void. Humming, high tone of a crystal bell, someone touching it with a felt mallet. Ping, that humming sound like millions of bees all around us. Another flash of gold light, and we find ourselves wiggling our toes in diamond-like glowing sand. And you look to the right and you look to the left, and this sand is glowing a foot above the sand. It stretches as far as you can see left and right into the infinite distance and slightly curves inward. You realize this is a huge circular floating landmass. We are on the upper edge, the upper side of the void, which is very vast. Move through pure hue energy. We can bring no negative nature with us. And we have our toes, this perfect human type form with the Atma hovering above it, wiggling in this sand. Satnam is standing there showing you. He's doing the same thing. This is his realm, the Atma plane. The trees behind it are transparent. Every kind of tree and fruit tree you can think of, and they're just moving energy up and down, out the leaves. These beautiful birds with long V-shaped split tails have flown down out of the trees, about a foot long, look kind of like a blue jay with twin sets of bird wings, one above the other, kind of like a dragonfly, but they're hovering like hummingbirds around us, one male, one female. And a couple hovers around each one of you. And then they open their beak and they begin to sing the hue. Perfect vocal cords, flawless harmony. And you realize that that hue is going right out to the pale blue luminous atmosphere of the void, supporting it, maintaining it. Above them are Atmas bigger than us. These are kindred spirits of the silent mentors. They're not birds like on Earth. They have vocal cords. You can speak with them. They're telepathic. Now Satnam reaches down and grabs a handful of these white diamond, this little round, perfect diamond radiant crystals, throws it in the air. Each one goes into one of us, one kernel of this sand, into the white core of your being, and makes it brighter. This is to help us remember our true life as it has always been, above the void where we come from. When we return, we would be putting our toes into emerald green sand. But for now, another flash of light finds us hovering above, looking down on a fountain, 100-foot wide white luminous stone, scalloped edges like alabaster stone. Statue of Satnam in it, 2 golden bracelets on his upper arms, bare-chested, strong, about 36 bronze skin, white tunic dress from his waist down to his bare ankles and feet. His hands are open, palms out, facing down, and this light is coming down into it, a higher white golden light, through his palms, filling this bowl, dropping in a glistening, even luminous sheet around it, and disappearing down on the ground behind a flat, circular, donut-shaped sitting seat. And you look behind us and you see this long, snow-covered bluestone mountain range, straight, diagonal from the lower right to the upper left. And at the base are these golden steps leading up between 2 lapis lazuli, big pillars like in Spain or like in Greece. Or, yeah, there might be some there, Greece or Rome. And they have a blue stone with a golden lace through it. And there's a blue, crystalline blue throne chair sitting in the middle under this canopy, this pyramid roof. It's transparent. It's polished, smooth edges. Nobody sits in it. There's a white golden light coming down into it. Behind it, through a triangular pyramid opening, is a bigger fountain. A blue, white, golden shaft of light coming down to it forms like the light of a Christmas tree in another scalloped edged fountain. Blue, white stone. Now this is the Hue Expansion Ray Academy we find ourselves in next. We're looking in the distance towards a huge floating circular landmass. There's a white luminous diamond-like beach circling it. It's bigger than the realm of Satnam. This is an especially created parallel dimension between the 6th reality and the 5th above the void. And we are fast approaching this beach. And the next thing, we find ourselves hovering above 6 mountains, snow-covered in a circle, way in the center of this huge circular landmass. And we're looking down and we see this blue glass-like transparent administration tower coming off the circumference of a white island. There's a blue-green luminous lake around it, humming. And you can see this smooth glass-like tower goes up to a flattened oval center and up to a minaret point. There's a fountain in it. No statue of Satnam here. And there's a white golden light coming down into it from higher realities, from Source. It comes from this tower, down through the vortex we created. It's important to know this stuff. Well, let's see. Look above these mountains. You can see out on the coast, there's a blue-green, luminous, translucent wave curling and breaking on this beach. It continues to move unstopped all around the outer circumference of this floating landmass. It comes back to where it starts and then it continues. It's not water. The brilliant cobalt blue atmosphere around the Hue Expansion Ray Academy is much brighter than the one below it. There are white roadways made of a white stone. It's luminous. You look at the base of these 6 mountains and there's a horseshoe-shaped tunnel with golden walls coming out of the base that these white roadways exit from it, and they go straight as an arrow to the beach. One after the other, parallel to each other, like the spokes of a bicycle tire around a hub. And down each roadway you can see to the right, and a little further to the left, and a little further to the right, there are clearings with training facilities. This group of beings are still within us, this oval transparent energy field that Terrellian's maintaining. Actually, I can tell you the silent mentors are maintaining it here, because in the Hue Expansionary Academy, we can mix it up with them. So one place where no negative nature is, where we can associate with such beings, above the void. And Satnam is with us, still above us. He raises his right hand, and another gold-white flash of light instantly transports all of us to the much more brilliant, vast cobalt blue atmosphere of the Hue Expansionary Academy. We are fast approaching. We find ourselves hovering above a white stone-like roadway in the southeastern quarter quadrant of the Hue Expansionary Academy, halfway along its length. What does that mean? If you look down on a pizza and you cut it in half and cut it in half again, there's a quarter in each section. We're looking down on the stone-like roadway in the southeastern quarter quadrant. We move down and turn right from this roadway and enter a new teaching facility clearing. Each one of us finds the physical human-appearing body standing in a circular, 4-foot wide, foot-deep pool of different luminous colored water. These are little pools in a circle. There's something in the center of that circle. It is a teaching clearing. Each pool, a foot deep, surrounded by a golden foot-thick brick-like wall. A shaft of white golden light is emanating down into a 15 feet in diameter, transparent blue quartz-like scalloped-edged fountain that the small pools encircle, sending out different colored beams of light, single-colored beams. The beams penetrate the 4-inch thick beams of light located in the center of each pool, keeping it lit up with this color. We each experience a single color of the light that penetrates our non-physical appearing body, continually moves up into the white core of the Atma we are, hovering above it. This turns on a few teardrop-shaped higher faculty abilities in the collared teardrop-shaped layer of matching color. Marshall could have a blue one. Renata might have a green one. Margaret a yellow one. It's not important, and I'll tell you why. Then the light beams all move one person to the right, and we each experience the next colored beam. Each one carries a certain awareness of co-creativity with Source. Bear that in your consciousness. This swiftly continues until we have all experienced the entire rainbow spectrum of light radiating from the central large fountain that comes from Source. We then turn around. Each of you will be compelled to turn around. And Satnam is directing this. Facing away from the central light fountain with Terrellian and Mr. Crystal standing to each side of it. Mr. Crystal, known as Bountama, is in the series agenda book. He comes to the Hue Expansionary Academy. We see 100 master teacher beings. These are the ones that came with us. Male and female, standing in a large circle around us. We greet them all with our right hand held with spread fingers to our chest, and they return the respectful gesture. This is all that's required. These are master teacher beings you will all personally meet with at some time in the near future. Instantly, we then find ourselves in a circle of Atma surrounding Terrellian, surrounded by the oval white golden transparent light like the surrounding hull of a spaceship, moving up inside the hourglass-shaped portal above the Hue Expansionary Academy, that connects to Source or Prime Creator. In an instant, we are moving through a far more brilliant cobalt blue space of the ocean of light and sound or source, passing between Atma beings that circle radiant white circular island located in the void at its center. Prime Creator, in the form of a massive spherical energy with thousands of teardrop-shaped lights building concentric layers, is hovering above the white island. It's like a void in the center of a galaxy. Instead of massive stars and a black hole, which isn't black, as you know, it is a white island, and there's a huge Atma appearing being, far more complex than us, hovering above it. We then find ourselves inside the white core of Source itself. We are these Atmas with a white core. It is a white core. We're right inside it. It's moving through us to receive its gracious welcome home. There's no negative nature here. You can't bring any with you. These two beings who are here with you still are keeping that turned off back with your sleeping body back on Earth for your benefit. Another flash of golden white light finds us all hovering in a circle around Ambassador Trellian outside of planet Earth, as it exists in the third higher parallel dimension of the physical universe. We see a large single continent that stretches from the left to the right hemisphere. About a third of the way up from the southern pole is an upward curved, half-moon-shaped, glowing emerald green beach. And we are drawn to it, even from space. In an instant, we look down to find our bare feet with toes wiggling in the emerald green sand that is glowing a foot above it. The 10-foot tall couple from planet Interdimensional 1, located on the other side of our Milky Way galaxy. A tall couple from the planet Interdimensional 1. They are about 10 feet tall with ivory white skin shimmering like moonstone and longer arms, legs, fingers, and necks than Earth humans. They have long silver-like hair to their shoulders, and legs, fingers, and necks longer than Earth humans. They have long silver-like hair. Standing nearby is Master Satnam, governor of the Atma plane, located upward just beyond the void. The Xantarnamus race from Xantarnamus 1, represented by Xanantalus, the male, and Fresun Muntus, the female, are holding some of the emerald green sand in their right open palm. Satnam, standing near them, is holding open his right palm. Some of the diamond-like radiant sand from the glowing white diamond-like sandy beach of the Atma plain, located just above the void. The Xantarnamus couple throw the glowing emerald green sand into the air, and each single round glowing emerald particle enters the white core of each of us as the Atma. It then moves to the green teardrop-shaped layer that surrounds the white core of our being, where it turns on some of the many teardrop-shaped higher faculties to help us recall the most important of the billions of lives we've all lived running bodies in the lower dimensions of time and space. Satnam then throws upward the glowing diamond-like round particles of sand that enter the white core at the center of each Atma. It remains in the white core, making the white core brightly luminous. This is done to assist us to recall more about our existence upward beyond the void in the higher realities where no negative nature exists. Another flash of light from Trellian, from the source itself, instantly transports us all to experience we are now hovering above our sleeping bodies back on Earth. Each galactic alliance couple is still beside us. And then they slowly vanish as the white golden shaft of light continues to move down through the ceiling where you live. Through each of us as the Atma, through our sleeping physical bodies, and out into Earth's atmosphere. It continues through 3 golden-sided quartz-capped pyramids, located one at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, one at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, and one sit inside a hollowed-out interior of a mountain in the Himalaya. It is beamed to a larger pyramid stationed between two stable asteroids in the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of what was a planet between Mars and Jupiter. It continues all the way to the galactic core of our Milky Way galaxy, on its way back to Source or Prime Creator, where we just visited ourselves. This pure energy of the U, expansion ray, moves only one way through us for our benefit, and onward for the benefit of others. We are now back. When ready, open your eyes. You can turn on your mics. I will ask you to unmute them. I would say this is worthy of some conversation, telepathic conversation. You'll hear in the form of words, but we're really doing this. The journey's still going. This is a new teaching facility revealed first to Thai people that are doing the chapter by chapter journeys. But you have a right to experience it too.
Mm-hmm.
What changes in us when we bring back this awareness, it is moving through your etheric, mental, causal, astral, your emotional state, and into the physical consciousness. Any questions?
No, I'm just beyond speechless. That was absolutely amazing.
Obviously, I can't carry this kind of awareness in my head, in my noggin here on Earth. I have to be the Atma who can experience multidimensional awareness and wisdom with others in order to describe it. And I can only describe it if I'm there with you, guiding you, with other master teacher guides who are guiding you on these journeys. That's what they do. We need them. They're required, or we just won't wake up at all. The universe is set up. At least now it's set up to change in new ways that have never happened before. So you might as well be at the forefront of experiencing some of this. Why not? If you have the capability to understand it, why not? When you started on these journeys, you didn't. Now you do. There's a difference. Big one. Yes, Margaret. Anything?
Question. What does the colors represent again? Like the green is like you said, like past lives, I guess that was important to us. But what about the other colors? What do they
Can you
represent?
slow down your speech? I couldn't understand what you were asking.
What do the colors represent? Like you said, green represent like the other lives that we had. But what about the other colors?
Well, don't think of it in terms of psychic interpretation of colors. It works differently than in the lower planes. Blue is like more of a masculine kind of energy, but don't think of it in terms of male and female. It's more of a constructive energy because all energies are constructive. And it has to do with the awareness of life in the mental plane. It has to do with many things, but it has a different meaning in the upper realities. It has to do with an entire band of teardrops in your Atma, in the Atma-yor, that deal with understanding how to traverse the multidimensional creation. The mental plane is much more vast than all the billions of physical galaxies. And you don't want to get caught in it. You want to be able to experience and enjoy it and take back what you've learned to source. Green can be healing. It can be many things. But it's generally because of the beach we were on Earth in the third higher parallel dimension. It's to help you recall the billions of lives, those that are most beneficial, that you've lived in the lower planes of time and space. Because when you uncover them, the wisdom that is contained in them is imparted to you. And you pass that through all your forms, even the life you have on Earth. Each one of those rays is a different wisdom ray covering entire aspects of the grand multidimensional creation. We were in a circle, and the rays would switch. Blue would say was on Marshall, then it became on Lee, then it became on Renata, then it became on Margaret, then Anna, and then me, and it moved around until all the rays, and there were more than 100. It's not like Earth. And this is very quick because there's no time and space there. So we can all experience this. These master teachers, the 100 that went with us, are teachers who teach in the Hue Expansionary Academy. You will meet them. Every one of them, eventually. They're just beings like you, just awake fully. So they become like masterful beings for the sake. There is no such thing as the use of any power other than for the uplifting, benevolent nature of all life. That's the only proper use of any power. Otherwise, it's a trap to play with it. The masterful beings channel the energy through them consistently, 24 hours a day. And these beings who now know about the Hue expansion ray and what it's designed to do, that Satnam tested and approved to go into the lower worlds, cannot be reversed. Not by you, me, or anyone. No Galactic Alliance, no angels, nobody can mess with it. This is under the jurisdiction of the silent mentors. They maintain it properly in one direction. Yeah, Marshall.
Oh, my hand.
Oh, you're just waving. Okay, hi.
No, it just, you know how your hands just do weird things.
Well, there's energy coming from them now, too.
Are we able to use these colors? Because
If you have the wisdom awakened in you to use them properly, yes. But the wisdom has to go with it, because without that, you're going to make wrong decisions in its use, and it gets you in trouble. And we don't want to get any more trouble.
No.
We want to get permanently out of trouble. We don't want to be any more unconscious. We want to wake up. Right? And this is part of how we co-create our own liberation. By respecting and knowing one life in the greater God, you get a greater playground. It's reciprocal. So you got to be aware of life beyond.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said that when people die, they think they go wherever they go. And you said they go wherever their consciousness is.
I know this would be controversial to many faithful or religious people on earth, but they think they go to some heaven. They don't know where it is. It's just up there somewhere.
Well, hell.
Or the other place, right. I'd have to point out that both reality exists on that planet they're playing in on Earth. There's no worse place. There's no hell worse than what takes place in some places on this planet. And that has to come to an end. So they would think they go to some kind of permanent blissful heaven. Well, there are relative heavens in the causal plane and mental plane for world religions. And people go there, but they're not permanent places. Eventually they're kicked out. Eventually they have to come back because they're meant to be co-creators. And
Do it all again.
Excuse me?
And do it all again. Come back and do it.
Yeah, because it's just bodies.
Yeah.
You lose 1 million bodies and still be dumber than a brick. We're Atmas, we're not bodies. It's the Atma that wakes up, not the body. So when you pass away, if you're aware, here's the thing, here's the way to answer your question. If you're aware of Atma plane, where Satnam dwells, if you're aware of the void, if you're aware of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, if you're aware of Agam Purusha, who was with us, but I didn't have time to describe him, if you're aware of this, the source or prime creator itself, when you pass away, you have the choice to have the Hue take you there instead of this nonsense over and over again. It's one way. And once you step through that doorway, you will not be reincarnating in baby bodies through women with guys and It changes.
Never?
Excuse me?
Never? We are not going to be
Well, if
close.
you come back, you'd be like Torellian, manifesting a body when it's needed. You're not trapped in them. See? They're fine. You can play in them. You could have kids. You could be married. But you're not trapped in it. There's a difference. Big one. The rest of it's fine. It's just that people are so caught in indulging in physicality, they don't ever get the perspective they aren't the thing they're playing with in a lifetime or 10,000 lifetimes. Now that's kind of sad, and it is changing for the first time, which is why we're having these journeys.
But somebody has, exactly. If nobody teaches that, if it doesn't come from nowhere.
Not on Earth.
Parents only teach what their parents told them, and so do teachers. So unless we come across, fortunately, like you, someone like you.
But think of it this way:
There's no
for whatever reason, you had the ability to find this work, and you chose to co-create with it. So how old are you really in ancient wisdom? You're already much further. You're much further ahead of your fellow beings on this planet. But you become channels of this new ray when you embrace it, when it moves through you, and it works through you for the benefit of enlightening others. It spreads. It's exponential.
Yeah.
That's good.
It
So
does.
we earn our wings, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's the way of putting it. Can I ask a really dumb question?
Why not?
What is the hue expansion ray?
It is a new consciousness moving from source itself, and Ogam Purush is involved, and the Purushas of the upper worlds, these governors, let's make it polite, governors.
Okay.
And it comes down through Satnam, it goes through the U Expansion Ray Academy, it comes all the way down here into this divine spirit people pray to, which is space really, outer space. That energy is divine spirit, but it doesn't call itself that. That's an earth terminology for worshiping something people don't understand at all. I mean, they don't, period.
Yeah.
So you find when you're ready to meet the hue, and the hue takes on a different way of relating to you, it crosses your path. I just made it available. The doorway of this work is connected to many wonderful, wondrous, masterful teachers. And it's through this doorway that this transformation, this disclosure, is working behind the scenes to move it forward. It has to come from somewhere.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes, you're quite welcome.
And it's a beautiful feeling when it comes through.
I'm going to bring the recording to a stop.